Welcome to GREENBONE's tutorial series for learning the OPENVAS Security Intelligence Platform. I'm Joseph from the GREENBONE community, and in this video, we will cover setting up the OPENVAS Basic Virtual Appliance to help you get up and running quickly. But first, what is OPENVAS Basic? OPENVAS Basic is GREENBONE's entry-level OPENVAS SCAN virtual appliance. With a subscription, OPENVAS Basic can scan IT infrastructure with the OPENVAS Enterprise Feed, offering cost-effective, high-coverage vulnerability detection and compliance benchmark scanning. As of early 2026, the OPENVAS Enterprise Feed includes more than 220,000 network and endpoint vulnerability tests and counting. OPENVAS Basic and all OPENVAS SCAN appliances also come with an extensive suite of essential vulnerability management tools for scheduling, alerting, reporting, and more. We'll start by covering the system requirements for the OPENVAS Basic Virtual Appliance. Next, we'll walk through the setup process, including how to add a subscription key for the Enterprise Feed. We will cover the basics for the web interface, set up our first scan, review some of the appliance's more advanced settings, and explore what to do with the information from a scan once it has been completed. At the end of the video, we'll cover some additional resources for enriching your knowledge about OPENVAS SCAN's features to take advantage of everything it has to offer. You can also find links to these additional resources, including a PDF version of the Quick Start Guide and the complete manual for OPENVAS SCAN in the video description. Let's get you up and running with the OPENVAS Basic Virtual Appliance. Before we dive into the appliance itself, let's review the requirements for the OPENVAS Basic Virtual Machine. The following hypervisors are officially supported for running OPENVAS Basic: Oracle VirtualBox, version 7.0 or higher; VMware vSphere ESXi, version 7.0 or higher; VMware Workstation Pro, version 17.0 or higher; Microsoft Hyper-V Server 2016, Generation 2, version 8.0 or higher; Proxmox Virtual Environment, version 8.0 or higher; and Huawei Fusion Compute, version 8.0. The OPENVAS Basic Virtual Machine is automatically configured with the following required resources: 2 virtual CPUs, 12 GB of RAM, and 500 GB of virtual hard disk space. Finally, the VM must have the EFI UEFI boot mode enabled. More information on setting up the OPENVAS SCAN virtual appliance for various hypervisor environments can be found in the documentation available at the GREENBONE Tech Doc portal. Next, let's review how to perform the initial setup of the OPENVAS Basic Virtual Appliance. After downloading the OPENVAS Basic Virtual Machine, we need to import it into the hypervisor of choice. The OPENVAS SCAN virtual appliance is completely cross-platform and can run on supported hypervisors for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Let's quickly cover the import process for VirtualBox on Mac OS and Microsoft Hyper-V on Windows. If you are using a different hypervisor or need instructions for advanced settings such as how to enable secure boot, you should refer to the OPENVAS SCAN manual. For VirtualBox, select the Import button from the welcome screen. Then find your downloaded OVA file for OPENVAS Basic and click Next. You will see the default configuration for the virtual appliance, including the virtual hardware resources such as RAM and number of CPU cores. Before starting the virtual appliance, you can note the virtual network interface's MAC address. This can be useful for setting up DHCP static mapping or otherwise allowing the appliance to join the network in restrictive environments. On Microsoft Hyper-V, the import process is similar. First, you need to download the Hyper-V virtual machine package provided by GREENBONE to your computer and unzip it. You can select the destination according to where you want the VM's files to be stored. Next, you need to ensure that the Hyper-V feature is enabled in your system configuration. If Hyper-V is not checked, you need to enable it and reboot your computer. Once Hyper-V is enabled, you can start the Hyper-V Manager. You will need to be either a Windows admin user or have membership in Hyper-V Administrators Group to have the required permissions. Select the Windows instance to create a virtual machine locally on your computer. On the right-hand panel, select Import Virtual Machine and find the unzipped folder that contains GREENBONE Hyper-V Virtual Appliance. Click Next to proceed. Use the Register the Virtual Machine in Place setting. Click Finish to import the virtual appliance into Hyper-V. Finally, verify the VM's settings before starting it. The Secure Boot EFI should be enabled, and the network adapter must be set to default switch. With our virtual environment configured, we can start the OPENVAS Basic virtual machine and begin the initial setup process. When the OPENVAS SCAN appliance starts for the first time, you need to use the default credentials to access the GOS administration menu. The username and password are both admin. Welcome to the GREENBONE OS administration menu. This is the interface that will be displayed when the virtual machine is accessed directly or via SSH. If you are starting the OPENVAS SCAN VM for the first time, you will be presented with the setup wizard. Click Enter to start the wizard. The appliance uses DHCP to obtain an IP address. If the appliance is unable to obtain an IP address, a warning message will be displayed. It is recommended to use static mapping to ensure the appliance always uses the same IP address. However, this is not a hard requirement. The first thing we need to do is set up encryption for the web interface. There are 3 main options to accomplish this. The first is to import a custom HTTPS certificate. The second is to have the appliance generate its own self-signed certificate. And the third is to generate a certificate signing request for a certificate authority to sign, which can then be imported back into the appliance. For this tutorial, we will choose the simplest and fastest way to get started with OPENVAS Basic, generating a self-signed certificate. After selecting this option, we will be presented with a form to fill in the required fields for the self-signed certificate. If you are not sure what to put here, you can just accept the default values. Next, we must create a global administrator for the web interface. It's important to note that the global admin for the web interface is different from the GREENBONE OS admin account we are currently using. The web admin we are creating can only access the OPENVAS SCAN web interface. You can use any username you like. For now, I'll just use admin. Enter a secure password for the admin user and verify the password. Make sure to store this password in a secure place. Finally, press Tab to switch to the button dialog, select OK, and press Enter. The next step is to set up a subscription key. If you have purchased OPENVAS Basic or are using a trial appliance, the subscription key file was delivered to you via email. The subscription key is required for access to the OPENVAS Enterprise Feed, which includes over 220,000 vulnerability tests. Select the HTTP upload option from the menu. Open a browser and go to the provided URL. There you will be able to upload your subscription key file. Once you have uploaded your subscription key into the browser, you can return to the admin console menu. You should see a success message displayed to confirm your key has been imported. Select Yes to start downloading the feed. The feed includes vulnerability tests, scan configurations, SCAP cybersecurity intelligence data, report formats, and more. If you have configured a valid subscription key, the OPENVAS Enterprise Feed will be downloaded. Otherwise, the appliance will default to the free community feed. Now that the setup wizard is finished, the appliance will start a self-check. This self-check runs every time a user logs into the GOS admin menu. You may see a warning that the OS release information or feed needs to be updated. Seeing these warnings is normal. You should take note of them and consult with the manual for more information about the underlying issues. Here, we see that the feed is out of date. This is because the first feed sync has not completed. Also, we see a warning that upgrades to GOS may be available because the information is not current. For now, we can click OK. We have now arrived at the main menu for the GOS admin menu. Let's cover the most basic settings for quick setup. You can always find detailed and current information from the GREENBONE TechDoc portal. A quick tip is that the up and down arrow keys are used to select items in the menu, and left and right are used to select options for navigating the menus, such as OK and back. Let's change the default password for the GOS admin user to prevent unauthorized access to the administration menu. To do this, enter the Setup menu and then User and Password Management and select Change Password for the current user. First, enter the default password, which is admin. Then enter your new password and confirm it. Finally, make sure to store the password in a secure place. Next, let's verify the appliance's IP address for accessing the web interface. To do this, we need to go to the Network menu option. Go to the IP item to view the appliance's IP address. This is all the information we need to access the web interface. So let's take a quick tour and get started with the OPENVAS SCAN web application itself. Enter the appliance's IP address into your browser and log in with the web user credentials you created during the setup process. Since we have configured a self-signed certificate, you will see a warning the first time you access the web interface. You can accept the potential security risks of the self-signed certificate for now. If you want to verify the appliance's certificate fingerprint, go to the certificates section of your browser settings and look at the exceptions. You will see an entry for your appliance's IP address and the fingerprint to compare with the one displayed in the appliance's admin menu. Verify that your browser is pinned to the correct self-signed certificate. Now you can log in using the global web admin account we created during the configuration process. Welcome to OPENVAS SCAN. Before we can start our first vulnerability scan, the initial feed synchronization needs to be completed. Now is a good time to familiarize ourselves with checking the feed status. The feed status page is located in the administration menu. Here we see that our first feed synchronization has not completed yet. The first feed synchronization takes the longest because the OPENVAS SCAN appliance is downloading over 220,000 vulnerability tests and other data such as scan configurations, CVE information, national cert advisory data, and more. As such, it may take several hours for the first feed sync to complete. Here we can see that the feed is still syncing. Let's come back after it's done. Once the feeds have finished syncing, we can see the complete list of the data feeds and their version string, which begins with the date the feed was released. The feed status is current, indicating the feeds are fully updated. To configure our first scan, we can go to the Tasks page, located under the Scan menu, and start the Advanced Scan wizard from the icon in the top left-hand corner. Then enter a target IP address or host name and configure other settings. For example, we could create a schedule for the new task, add credentials for logging into the target system to conduct an authenticated scan, or if SMTP email settings have been configured, set an email address to send the report to. For now, let's just configure the scan to start immediately. That's it, we are scanning with OPENVAS. While our first scan is running, let's go back to learn some more basic settings in the GOS admin menu. The Network Settings section includes other advanced options for configuring an OPENVAS SCAN appliance. These may be required for advanced network setups. You can enable IPv6, set custom DNS servers, set a custom hostname or domain name, and more. Please consult the documentation for more information on advanced network configuration options. Let's quickly cover some other basic settings. Enabling SSH allows remote access to the GOS admin menu. This can be more convenient than accessing the appliance directly via the hypervisor. Password authentication is the default mode for SSH authentication. However, public key authentication can be enabled by uploading the client's public key. We can view the fingerprint for appliance's SSH public key, and other configuration settings can also be adjusted here. If you are using SSH password authentication, setting brute force protection is recommended. Let's do that now. Let's enable the login protection and keep the threshold at 5 failed attempts. Setting up SMTP email authentication allows OPENVAS SCAN to send email messages for alerts. These alerts can notify users when new vulnerabilities are detected or when other important events occur. Before setting up SMTP, it's important to determine the required settings for your email service provider. The OPENVAS feeds are set to automatically synchronize every day by default. You can disable automatic synchronization if you prefer to manually trigger feed synchronization. For now, we will leave auto-synchronization enabled. You can also configure a specific time to sync the feed every day by setting the maintenance time. Next, let's quickly review the HTTPS settings for the web interface. These settings are available from the Services HTTPS menu. Here you can configure the available TLS protocols, encryption ciphers, Diffie-Hellman parameters, and other HTTPS certificate settings. You can access the fingerprint of the appliance's certificate for the web interface, or download the certificate for a certificate signing request. You can also generate a certificate signing request and download it, auto-generate a new self-signed certificate, or import your own certificate created by an external certificate authority. Upgrades to the OPENVAS SCAN appliance itself are also fetched during feed synchronization. These updates may include bug fixes, new features, or even security patches. Therefore, it is important to apply these updates on a regular basis. Appliance upgrades can only be viewed and installed from the administration console. They cannot be viewed or applied from the web interface. Let's take a look at the process for upgrading the OPENVAS SCAN appliance. There are two ways to check the appliance's upgrade status. First, you can run the self-check process. Go to the maintenance menu and start the self-check. The self-check can also alert to other configuration issues or system events. Here we see an alert that a GOS upgrade is available and the version number. To install the update, we can go to the upgrade item in the maintenance menu. This page will also display upgrade status without doing the full self-check. Let's start the upgrade process. All system settings and user data will be retained automatically. We can verify that the GOS upgrade process has started by going to the About menu. It is possible that a GOS upgrade changes the available functionality in the administration menu. These changes will only be available after reloading the menu. Therefore, it is recommended to log out and log back in after the upgrade. The appliance does not necessarily require a restart after a minor version upgrade. However, the web interface may be unavailable during the upgrade process. Also, special processes apply to major upgrades and under certain circumstances, such as when secure boot is enabled for the virtual machine. See the Upgrading OPENVAS SCAN section of the documentation for more information about upgrading the appliance. Okay, let's move back to the web interface to look at our completed scan report. So our scan task has completed its first scan. What now? All the information from the scan is contained in the scan report. The most recent scan report is available from the report column of the scan task page, and all reports are available from the reports page. Let's take a look at a report to see what information is available. Along the top of the report are tabs to separate various categories of information collected during the scan. The most important section is the Results tab, which shows all the positive results found by OPENVAS SCAN's vulnerability tests and additional log information. Other relevant information in a scan report includes a list of active hosts that were discovered during the scan, active ports that were discovered during the scan, specific applications, and operating systems that were identified during the scan, as well as a list of all CVEs identified and other information. From the Results tab, you can see that only 70 out of 635 scan results are visible. We can adjust the filter to change which results are displayed. Let's show results with QOD30 and also display log results. There are many other options for filtering the results in various ways. You can find links to documentation on filter keywords and syntax in the video description. You can see from the Results tab that all 635 results are now visible in the UI. We can use the Remove Filter button to remove the filter changes we just made. Finally, there are many options to export a report's content for various use cases such as CSV, XML, and PDF, and formats for various third-party security tools. Descriptions of each option can be found in the OPENVAS SCAN documentation. Let's select one of the PDF report formats. Inside the exported report, you will find various summaries of the findings and a list of individual vulnerabilities with a description of each. Next, let's take a look at the resources that are available to support your learning curve for the OPENVAS SCAN appliance and its various capabilities. Links to all these references are available in the video description. The manual for OPENVAS SCAN can be found on the GREENBONE TechDoc portal. This is the most fundamental resource for extending your knowledge and the go-to source of truth for all of OPENVAS SCAN's features. The manual includes information about system requirements, all the settings in the GOS administration menu, and features of the OPENVAS SCAN web interface. Filters are a powerful tool in GREENBONE for customizing the content of various pages. The Filter Keywords and Values cheat sheet is a helpful resource for writing complex content filters, or see our other tutorial video about setting up and configuring filters in GREENBONE. A quick start setup guide for OPENVAS BASIC is also available in PDF format. This guide is included with your link to the OPENVAS BASIC virtual appliance, and a link to the guide is also included in the video description. If you are interested in reviewing the source code for the OPENVAS SCAN software components, feel free to visit GREENBONE's official GitHub page. Finally, feel free to drop by the GREENBONE community forum and post use case questions or discuss security topics with other community members. Let's do a quick recap. The OPENVAS Basic Virtual Appliance requires at least 2 virtual CPUs, 12 GB of RAM, and 500 GB of disk space. Networking is configured automatically via DHCP or with DHCP static mapping to assign a static IP address. The virtual appliance's current IP address is shown in the GOS admin menu's Network Settings under IP. During setup, a global admin user is created for the web interface, and a subscription key for the OPENVAS Enterprise Feed can be uploaded to activate over 220,000 vulnerability tests and counting. The web interface is most easily accessed via HTTPS using the appliance's self-signed certificate for encryption in transit. However, more advanced network settings can be configured, such as uploading custom TLS certificates for your own domain name. Automatic feed synchronization is enabled by default, and users can check the web interface's feed status page to ensure OPENVAS SCAN's vulnerability tests are fully updated. The feeds must complete their initial synchronization before the first scan can be started. Basic scan tasks can be created easily using the scan wizard on the tasks page, and users can learn about configuring more complex scanning scenarios from the OPENVAS SCAN documentation available at the GREENBONE TechDoc portal. So that's it. While OPENVAS SCAN can be set up quickly and easily, it also has advanced capabilities and industry-leading vulnerability coverage, allowing IT defenders to identify the most critical software vulnerabilities and system misconfigurations, and audit systems according to well-known industry compliance benchmarks, such as the CIS benchmarks. Welcome to OPENVAS SCAN.